Everybody, and welcome back to another episode on the Lunch Table Sports Podcast. NBA free agency is finally here, and it seems to be an entertaining one. We got some big name free agents like Zach LaVine, Bradley Beal. We don't really know what will happen to DeAndre Ayton. So in today's video, I'm just going to be going over some of the top NBA free agents and where I think they will go in this year's NBA free agency. Without further ado, let's hop into the first name. So my first free agent here I'm going over is Zach LaVine, and I'm predicting him to re-sign with the Bulls. I figure the Bulls will probably re-sign him to a max contract. He's definitely warrants that. He's an amazing scorer. I don't really think you can let a guy of that caliber walk after having, that a little success in the regular season, being that sixth seed, and they kind of fell off towards the end of the year. They had some injuries. So I think if you get that team fully healthy, Lonzo, LaVine, DeMar, Vucevic, maybe some more additions than we talked about in this video. I think you'll definitely be right back in that playoff team and probably more successful than last year. My next free agent here I got is a big one. Expecting some big things to happen, and that's Bradley Beal in a sign and trade to the Denver Nuggets. So earlier today, as I'm recording this, is the Nuggets made a trade. They traded Monte Morris and Will Barton to the Wizards for Tavius Caldwell-Pope and Ish Smith. Now, right off the bat, people are saying, whoa. The the Nuggets got robbed here. Losing this point guard like Monte Morris. It's young, high caliber point guard. Very productive last year. And even Will Barton, who's been, Nuggets fans I see all over the place. They hate him, but I don't think he's a terrible player whatsoever. And KCP, who's a great defender. Maybe this could expand more into a bigger trade as we get down the road. I think Bradley Beal, he's so loyal, and I think the Wizards kind of know too, like, I don't know if we're going to win anything with him. So I think it's just time to maximize off his value right now. I think you could see a scenario where Bradley Beal opts in to his player option, which I'm predicting to happen. And I think they trade him to a team like the Nuggets, who have been heavily linked to him the past couple of off seasons. I would absolutely love this fit. You'd probably have to include Michael Porter Jr. in that trade. But I don't think it's a huge deal if you're getting a guy like Bradley Beal. He's always hurt all the time, and Beal's going to be more consistent for the team, in my opinion. You could probably have a lineup of Jamal Murray. You'd have Bradley Beal, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for some of the defense. I'd like to see them maybe add an addition of a stretch four who can really shoot it. Maybe Danilo Gallinari, possibly someone of that caliber type player. And you have Jokic as your center. So I really would like that team. But yeah, there's my big kind of edition of the video so far. But it doesn't slow down there. My next player I got is DeAndre Ayton. And I think he'll go to the Spurs in a sign and trade. He was heavily linked to the Pistons. When the Pistons traded Jeremy Grant, they were making cap room for DeAndre Ayton. And then they pulled off that draft night trade for Jalen Duren. And so the Pistons are going to try and be smart with their money, and they're going to no longer pursue DeAndre Ayton, which I am full for. I don't think we try to rush this rebuild. But I think the Spurs, who have some pieces there already, like DeJounte Murray, Devin Vassell, Kelvin Johnson, with the additions of Jeremy Sohan, and their two other draft picks this year, I think they can go and bring in a guy like DeAndre Ayton, who they have also been closely linked to as well, just like the Pistons. And I'm not sure the exact trade package it would be for Ayton, because it will be a sign and trade. He's a restricted free agent. I'm assuming it would probably have to include Jakob Poeltl and Lonnie Walker for sure. Both of them are rumored to be done with San Antonio. Maybe another young player in there for the Spurs. They got a plethora of young wings, so maybe throw one of those guys in there and a couple firsts. I think that gets the deal done. I really like this for the Spurs. I'd be really happy for them if they were able to pull this off. So I got DeAndre Ayton in a sign and trade to the Spurs. Next up, I got Miles Bridges staying put in Charlotte. He was closely linked for the Pistons a long time. As a Pistons fan, I would have been pretty happy if we were able to add Miles Bridges to free agency, but the Hornets GM came out and said, we're not going to let Miles Bridges walk. And it seemed to me like Miles Bridges was only really going to walk if you're able to get a max contract. And it looks to me like the Pistons aren't going to offer him a max contract from various reports from Woj and Shams. So I think Miles Bridges stays put. He probably signs on a deal around 20 to 25 million. If I'm guessing, which is a really good contract for a young star who's coming off a career year. The dynamic between him and LaMelo is very important for the team going forward. So I don't really think you can lose that in free agency. So I think the Hornets are going to put their best effort in trying to re-sign Miles Bridges. Next up here, I got James Harden opting into his player option. I think I could see him declining it and coming back, and maybe more of a long-term deal, maybe 2 or 3 years, opposed to just that 1 year deal player option that he's on right now. But in the end, I think he'll end up going back to the Sixers. I think the trade actually, I think it improved them in the season. They had their struggles later in the year, but I actually do like the Harden and Embiid duo they got running there, because Harden learned quickly that he wasn't going to take all the shots. That was Embiid's role. He's going to come in and kind of be that secondary star, which he hadn't been in a while in his career. With the Nets, that's what he was forced to do, and it didn't really work out to what they were hoping it to be. But I think once he got to Philadelphia, he really started to realize, I'm not going to be that guy who I was later in my career, MVP Harden numbers. And we saw the assists go up. I think, I'm not positive he averaged a double-double or right around there, but he did almost average double-double. So if you're getting that Harden back that was playing like that at the end of the year, you have the shooting of Tobias Harris, defense of Matisse Thybulle, Tyrese Maxey played amazing down the stretch last year. So I think if you're bringing back Harden, if you're the Sixers, I think you'd be really smart to do that. Next up here, we got Jalen Brunson going to the New York Knicks. This is all but signed, pretty much. Just hasn't signed the contract, but it's pretty much confirmed by Woj reported it out on ESPN earlier today. And I mean, it's been pretty obvious that the Knicks have been wanting to go for a star player in free agency. They've been clearing up cap. They traded Kemba Walker, Nerlens Noel, and Alec Burks all to the Pistons to try and shed some of that salary to sign Brunson, and they're preparing to offer him around a $30 million deal, which for me, I mean, that's a little too rich for my liking. I think Brunson's a really good player, and I think he's around the $20 million per dollar or $20 million per year salary. I think he definitely warrants that, but I think that's a big overpay to get a guy like Brunson, who never really started every single game in his career. He started off coming off the bench this year for the Mavs and kind of broke out into a star, but I still would like to see more from him if I'm going to offer him a max contract. He's definitely a good addition to the Knicks, but I just don't know where that team gets you. It's probably going to have a lineup of Brunson, Fournier, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson next year, if you're able to re-sign Mitchell Robinson in free agency. And I just don't know what that team's ceiling is. Probably a 6 seed at best. And I don't know, just kind of spending that money all on Jalen Brunson. I'm not entirely sure if I really like that idea for the Knicks, but in the end, I'm projecting Jalen Brunson to sign with the New York Knicks. Next up, we got Collin Sexton. I think he'll go to the Washington Wizards. This hasn't really been rumored to the Wizards specifically, but once you start to think about it, the more and more I like this fit. If Collin Sexton to the Wizards, this could go either way between him leaving or him coming back to the Cavs. But I can definitely see if the Wizards end up trading Beal to go after a young player and a young star like Collin Sexton. It'll probably be a prove-it deal, maybe a 2-year team option deal, something like that. I don't know if a team's going to pay him major money for agency just because he's coming off that injury. But if the Wizards were to move on for Beal, I could definitely see them signing a free agent like Collin Sexton, who's young and can take up a lot of that shots. You probably have a backcourt of him and Johnny Davis, which I actually do like. Collin Sexton's not going to be your really good facilitator. He's drafted to be a point guard out of Alabama, and he did play that early on in his career, so he's definitely can be a point guard. Johnny Davis has shown that he can facilitate at Wisconsin, but I'd really like that backcourt for the Wizards, and I think the Wizards would make this kind of move if they were to move on from Beal. My next time we'll talk about is Anthony Simons, and I think he's going to re-sign with the Portland Trailblazers. He played amazing in the Blazers, having a breakout year. And I don't know if the Blazers would want to let that young talent walk just yet. In free agency, he's a restricted free agent. They extended the qualifying offer to him. So it'd be really smart for both sides to give him a contract. He'd probably be making around $18 to $23 million, probably something around there if they were going to re-sign him. So I would really like that contract for him and to pair up with Dame this upcoming season. Next up, we got Mo Bamba, and I got him signing with the Chicago Bulls. This has been heavily rumored that the Bulls want to go after him. They want kind of their guy they're looking at for the future after Nikola Vucevic, who's getting up there in age. And they've been linked to Mo Bamba and Mitchell Robinson a lot these past couple of days. And with the Magic not giving him the qualifying offer, making him an unrestricted free agent. I think that the Bulls will definitely try to shoot a deal at him. He's coming off a career year. He has shown the ability to shoot from three. He's a great shot blocker. So I think if you're the Bulls, letting him play that backup center role for the next couple of years, and then letting him take over, if they're going to do that plan, it's probably a 4-year deal. I really like this for both sides. Next up, I got Mitchell Robinson, and I got him going back to the Knicks. With the Knicks trading away Nerlens Noel, they don't really have that center. I don't think Obi Toppin can be your small ball center. I like him playing the power forward position a lot better. So I think they would try to re-sign Mitchell Robinson. And with the way the Knicks are spending their money, they'll probably be around $15 million for Mitch Robinson, which I think is a little too expensive. But if that's like kind of the price he's asking for, then I think you got to pay it for him. But I really think, though, I really like the fit of Mitch Robinson going back with Jalen Brunson too, throwing him lobs. So, yeah, Mitch Robinson going back. Next up, I got Victor Oladipo, and I think he'll go to the Timberwolves. I would really like this fit a ton too. D'Angelo Russell is projected to be traded this offseason from Woj. The Wolves are shopping him. So I think if they end up shopping him or trading him, you could see a lineup of Pat Bev, Oladipo, Edwards, Vanderbilt, and Towns. I like that a ton. I think he would provide great scoring for the Timberwolves. Obviously, he's not going to be as good as prime Oladipo was, but he was still very solid for the Heat when he came back from injury. So I think even if they do not trade D'Angelo Russell, he could come off as a 6-man role, kind of like he did for the Heat in the playoffs. But I actually do like this fit a lot. Next up, we got Kevon Looney, and I got him signing with the Kings. Kevon Looney played amazing for the Warriors in the playoffs. You just saw him grabbing balls, diving for balls. He just put on so much effort in the playoffs. So I think if you were to get a larger deal from one of these other teams, like the Kings have been rumored about signing him. The Hornets have been rumored about signing him. So I think if he gets a big deal from one of those teams, he definitely would accept it, because I don't know if the Warriors have that amount of money to bring him back. So I think the Kings make the most sense. I think that's the best fit for him. Next up, I got Bobby Portis. I think he'll re-sign him with the Milwaukee Bucks. Bobby Portis has been that heart and soul. The fans love him, and he definitely feels love too. I don't know if he's ready to go on and move away from a contending team like the Bucks. I definitely think he'll get less money if he stays from the Bucks, but it's the same exact thing he did last offseason. He signed for less money just so he could stay in Milwaukee. So I think he opts into his player option or declines it. And either way, I think he'll end up back on the Bucks. Next up, we got kind of a sleeper free agent. People aren't talking about him enough. That's TJ Warren. He hasn't played in the past year and a half because of injury. So he's definitely going to probably have to sign a 1-year prove-it deal. But people forget how good he was in the bubble. I mean, people are calling him mini MJ in the bubble because of just how good he was for the Pacers. And he's a great scorer, even with the Suns. You know, he's been a great scorer up to this point in his career. So I think he's a little sleeper free agent. If he can stay healthy, you're going to get great scoring from him. I think with the Mavericks potentially losing Jalen Brunson for agency, they're going to look for someone who can, on a cheaper deal, because they don't have that much money freed up, but can also really shoot it and score it. So I think TJ Warren would be a great addition for the Mavericks if this happens. And finally, I'm wrapping it up here with Malik Monk. Malik Monk has had a really good year with the Lakers. Amazing scorer. He was kind of one of the lone bright spots on that team. And I think he resigns with the Lakers. I don't think they let him walk because they have bird rights on him. I think they'll just kind of re-sign him. They don't have enough money to go after anybody. So that's kind of wraps up my list. Aiden should be back in the next video. He's had some hockey stuff going on. So appreciate the view, appreciate the listen. You know, make sure to like and subscribe if you like these kind of videos. Let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of these moves or some other free agents you think could go anywhere. Make sure to follow our Twitter and Instagram. The link will be in the description for more updates on when the next video comes out or when you want to hear our takes live on free agency. So we'll be posting live updates of free agency. So if you want to go follow our Twitter, links in the description, and see you in the next episode.